You've become addicted to the guilt trip because at some point in the story of where you have been told that you were guilty for what was other people's responsibility, you have consented at some point just to get the approval. And now you see how you get out of it. I'm going to tell you how. My name is Christina Junge. I'm a love and leadership mentor. If you'd like to write to me, give me a note or ask for my coaching programs, you're welcome to at christina@christinajunge.com. If you'd like to subscribe, welcome to the story, to the family. Why do you feel guilty and why are you almost like addicted to the guilt? Like feeding into the guilt over and over and over again, and almost like baning yourself inside of the guilt. It is because you have not put this limit to this person from whom you have sought the approval, have sought love, have sought joy, whatever this relationship promised to you. And instead of that, you were feeding into the dynamics that this person would hold you responsible or guilty for what this person was responsible of. And this has become like a vicious cycle for you, and now you can't get out of it. So this is a tricky dynamic, and I want to talk about it a little bit deeper because it's really, really, really important. The guilt film, the guilt trip you are going through in narcissistic relationships, and what is going on inside of you that you can't really get out of it, and this has a reason. If we're talking about narcissistic or abusive dynamics, if we're talking about power dynamics, there's always a part of the abusive person, be it male or female, it doesn't matter, who is not wanting to take responsibility for their own, it's not even behaviors, feelings of feeling in the end inferior, feeling in the end hurt, feeling sad, feeling abandoned, feeling all these negative feelings. Yes, I'm talking about the abusive person. Although their behavior is really like the other way around. So they are behaving grandiose, they're behaving loud, they're behaving demanding, they're behaving in a way that which always submits you to them. But in the end, they only do this with you because they want to get this followership of you. They want to feel important in the relationship with you because they do not feel important outside of the relationship or inside of themselves. This is a very important dynamic. Think about this. So what you have learned to do with these kind of people who were narcissistic people in your upbringing, in your life, in your relationships, be it your mom, be it your dad, and then later a partner, is to be almost addicted to the feeling of feeling guilty because this was connected to getting, let's say, the approval of this person, although it was through the back door. And in the end, it made you like looking for this relationship where you all the time would feel guilty and guilty and guilty over and over again, and would accept it basically, and not getting in contact with your consciousness has only to do that you have been silenced first by those people who have subdued you to their commands. But then there was a point where you were accepting being subdued because it promised you to get the thumb up. It promised you to be their loved ones. It promised you to be the accepted one in the end. It promised you to take almost the guilt off of you because you have assumed this guilt. You have assumed that this guilt is something which is inherent yours, but would be taken away from this person once they would take it away, once they would approve of you, once they would tell you, you are good, you are enough, you are a beautiful person, you are a wonderful person, you are a lovable person, you are much worth to me. And they never do it. And there's this I don't want to say dependence, but there is a co-relationship in this guilt trip which this person is giving to you, which is that you, first of all, you assumed that you were guilty, and then you became almost guilty, you became almost addicted to feeling guilty or to getting into this guilty relationship because you wanted at some point for this person to take it off of you. And then, let's say, to put off the entire spell of you, that you would feel accepted, that you would feel being okay, that you would feel everything is right now, what you never felt. Because you thought you inherently aren't right. You inherently are guilty of the dynamics of everything negative which is going on. Well, in your life, maybe not that much, but you thought you were guilty of what was going wrong in their lives. And it's true, because these people never wanted to take responsibility for their feelings and for their behaviors, especially in relationship with you. And for these dynamics to keep you addicted to their accusing you of being responsible, the other way around, of making you feel guilty, was to maintain the relationship of power, to maintain over you this sword of Damocles, which would mean to you anytime this person could take away like this little bit of approval and this little bit of love, and you would feel completely empty and you would be nothing, left with nothing, and this would be worse for you, right? So you thought you could not generate love inside of yourself. You probably still not think it, but you feel that you can't, because you feel all this emptiness, you feel all this loneliness, you feel all this not being enough, you feel like having no identity, just because you were buying into the concept of somebody telling you you were guilty for how they feel, how they behave. First, you were innocent, of course. At the first time, in the first moment, you were thinking it was like this, so you assumed it was like this. But then you got into a role with this abusive or narcissistic person, which made you seek for the approval they were promising by making you feel guilty, which means making you responsible for what was happening. And if you would let go of it, things would be naturally then okay, though they never have gotten okay. So you became almost addicted to the relationship, but there was a zone of comfort, in there. Not only a zone of addiction, but also a zone of comfort, logically, where you tried to be silent to the dynamics, to be almost accomplice to those dynamics, for you not to be exposed, for you not to be left completely alone, for you not to be thrown into the cold water where there's nothing anymore. Once you lose these people, you lose this parent, or then afterwards you lose this partner who's only there to give you bad feelings about yourself, to tell you that you're nothing worth, and that everything which doesn't go right in their lives is because you didn't do the right thing. Can you relate to the relationship of, first of all, being made guilty for something which is not of your responsibility? You are not the person who is in charge of making anybody happy in this life but yourself. Okay? So you didn't get that concept. So after you have understood that making other people happy, like serving them emotionally and almost like serving them like physically, you would at some point be approved of, would at some point be loved, would at some point be filled with this love, this emptiness, this void inside of yourself. And it's not going to be like this all the other way around. You have gotten emptier and emptier in this process. You have gotten less identity of who you are because you were denying your dignity. You were denying who you are, and what you're really capable of. So there's like, you were kind of like getting into the dynamics and feeding into them. Excuse me if I say it like that. But trying to like almost buy the love of this person by making yourself being the nice servant of those people. Though what you would never get is love, and what you would never get is approval, and what you would never get is a stable sense of love, neither from them, because you didn't have it for yourself, nor obviously you for yourself, because you were all the time living, let's say, for somebody, to serve somebody, to get approval, you were never trying to live your own life. You were never trying to explore your inner self, to explore the love which is there, which is obviously not always like a conscious process, but this is the dynamics. And so what you have gotten was being guilty for feeling guilty for what they had made you feel guilty, and then you became addicted to the dynamics of these people needing you to be guilty, because it always had the promise of giving you love, giving you approval in the end, accepting you, seeing you as a person, seeing you as somebody, okay? And this is like the tricky mind shift, which is really wrong inside of those relationships, inside of those dynamics, that you always think that at some point they will give it to you. So you became addicted, and what you have lost on this path was really your dignity by at some point, like shaking your feathers and standing up for yourself and telling those people that what they are doing is wrong, and that how they are behaving with you is wrong. And obviously this needs strength. I know this is nothing easy to do, but this would be the only step for you to get out of the dynamics by at some point finally accusing those people of what they have done to you. If you don't do it, it's going to be because you still try to be approved by them. You still try to be loved by people who don't have love. It has nothing to do with you, It's because they don't have love. But if you keep on feeding into those dynamics, that you need this guilt relationship and you're not getting out of it, and you don't put the boundaries, you don't go into no contact, you don't get out of the accusive relationship, you are feeding into those dynamics, and you are being, let's say, guilty of staying in the dynamics where you do feel guilty, where you lose, where you're never being loved, where you're feeding into your emptiness, where you're feeding into your like not getting in contact with your identity. Okay, so there's something really, really important in those dynamics. Once you understand that somebody makes you feel guilty, you don't only have to get out of the relationship, you also have to understand how they made you feel guilty. And then this is like the most difficult point of this video I'm doing, is you need to understand that you were protecting yourself by not having to accuse this person of what they were doing, okay? And that you were a kind of accomplice inside of those dynamics. So you were feeding into those dynamics to not having to get up and to say, this is what is happening, and now I have to take responsibility for myself. Okay, this is the most difficult part. So this is why I say you've gotten addicted to the dynamics of these people needing you to be addicted. Okay, and there was something you were like silencing inside of your soul, inside of your consciousness, that you were saying, no, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear that I should stand up right now for myself. I don't want to hear that I have to put the limits right now. I'm more comfortable in the zone where somebody keeps on telling me I'm addicted, I'm guilty, because this promises me at some point that they would take away this spell, I would say, okay, and to shower you with love, to make you feel good, to make you feel loved, worthy, full of dignity, and full of a beautiful identity where you belong, you know? And this is like the empty promise they were giving you with telling you all the time you are guilty for how they feel and what they are doing in a negative sense. Okay? I hope you understood a little bit those dynamics. They are really important, and the part of where you feed into those dynamics, because you are waiting for this promised love and you don't want to stand up and don't want to say, I have a part of this. You know, there's a part in me which has bought into the dynamics because I'm having, let's say, a secondary gain inside of those dynamics, and I prefer staying in them because there is at least something somebody has to do for me, so I don't have to do it. You know, this is really tricky, and you really need to get out of this mindset that this person is responsible for your life, you know, and for how you feel. And the other way around, try to get really responsible for everything which is going on inside of your life, inside of your relationships, and especially in the relationship with yourself, although you don't feel worthy at this point, and try to change it. Try to understand how this was comfortable at some point, although it was unknown, another way for you, okay? And although you were the victim, I understand. But how you fed into those dynamics because you were waiting for the promised land in there, you know, how they would say, oh, I'm just going to take this all away from you. I was so wrong, you know, you are the most beautiful and the most lovable person in the world. So you're waiting and waiting and waiting for this to happen, and it's not going to happen. And it makes you feel comfortable because you don't have to do it, you know. And it's harder to do it. It's harder to get responsible for your own life. It's harder to assume responsibility and to assume, let's say, the course and the path of your life where you have to live up to your goals, where you have to live up to your standards, where you have to lift your boundaries, where you have to make yourself strong against those accusations, against those people who make you feel responsible for what is going negatively on in their lives. I hope this was helpful for you. Please leave me some comments down there if you like to subscribe to my channel. I love to have you in the community, and tell me what you think about this. Give me a like if this was good enough for you, and check out this other video coming up here telling you how to get out of those narcissistic or abusive relationships with self-healing, with understanding the dynamics, and with taking really responsibility for yourself, because nobody else is going to do it. Send you much love. Bye-bye.